Hello, colleagues. My name is Claudia Avar, and I am a kindergarten teacher in District 4. I am also one of your virtual content specialists for kindergarten math. Today, I wanted to create a video on some of the common pitfalls that our students might make when working with the 5 group. Now, if you're anything like me and you've been using Eureka, you know that the students have been working with the 5 groups extensively. They've gone over them, they know how to manipulate them, and they use them now in their number sentences. But for me, one of the things that keeps happening is that my students usually choose the default answer of 5 and whatever other number. I want to make sure that they avoid that. So we created this video to try to help you. Let's begin. I'm going to be sharing my screen. And I am sure that you will notice that just like with you, my eyes tend to wander and go everywhere whenever I'm sharing my screen. So bear with me as I do that. All right. So the first thing is that for today's guidance video, we will be using Unit 4, Day 32 of the teaching slides that you will find on TeachHub. So once you go onto TeachHub, you will find the slides, you will find the lesson that you're working with. And then you will come here, you will make a copy of your slides for yourself and then to ultimately share with your students. So a couple of things that I want to point out is that when you first open them, the very first slides are going to be in dark gray. These are all meant only for your eyes. So when you forward to your children, when you share on Google Classroom, you will be deleting all of these slides here. I'm going to quickly go over them to guide you as to what they are and how to use them. So the very first one is this one. It will tell you the unit that you're on, the day of the lesson, the title, the focus question, and the standards that it meets. The next slide will be additional guidance for using this resource. And then we come into the implementation guide for this lesson. I will be focusing some of the work that we do today on slide B, which is where you will put in your mini lesson. I will show you where that comes in, but this is where you will find the information and will give you additional resources for what to do during your mini lesson in addition to what the book already tells you. Following slides are guidance for assessments during the instructions. Apologies. Summarizing, engaging with students with disabilities, multilingual learners, and implementation guides. Then you will come here. This is where you begin the sharing part with your students. So you will share this slide with them, module 4, day 32. And then the very first slide is the one that I mentioned earlier. This is the introduction or launch. This is when you will do your mini lesson. So for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be using this slide for today. And let's go back to it, which I'll find it here. And this will be where the problem would be. I went ahead and created a blank model on Kami. I'm sure you're familiar with Kami. It's one of the easiest apps for me to use. And just because I want to do this with as much brevity as possible, I went ahead and created the boxes. I would normally do this with my students. So I will show them 9 equals blank plus blank. So it will be total plus total part. So I would ask them, what are some numbers that we can use? The problem that you have in the implementation guide says Michael has some blocks, some are large and some are small. What are the ways that we can show that? So for this, I went ahead and created some of the boxes here. I created some of the slides, and then I will have my students count how many. After they give me the number, your students can do either one. They can give you the visuals first, or they can give you the numbers first and then show the visuals. So for this, I went with the visuals first. And again, I would do this with the children watching, and then I will have them count. I always have my children count over and over. So I would say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I will write the number 7 here. 9 equals 7 of the large blocks and 1, 2 of the little ones. So now this one was easy, right? Because I didn't show you the 5 group and all of it put together. I showed you the 5 group and any extras, and then we just counted that. But then what happens when you have a problem and it gives them to you like this? How do you avoid having them say 5 and 4? During your mini lesson, it is super important that we are as explicit as possible in telling our students what we want them to do, but also affirming that 5 and 4 is a correct response. It is in fact accurate. We just want them to push their thinking. So as I go back to sharing, and I'll show you now what the lesson says. Apologies. I will show you what the lesson says so that you can see what it is that we want them to do. There we go. Once we get here, We would have done this part with them, and we would do as many as your children need. Obviously, as a teacher, you know your students better than we do. We will go here, and the explore slides are for your students to do independently. So now that they have them like this, you will remind them right before sending them off that as a way of avoiding this, as a way of avoiding the 5 and 4, you will tell them, I know that many of you will come up with the answer 5 and 4 because the bowls are set up in the 5 groups. However, I want you to push your thinking. I want you to think of other ways. How many other ways can you think about? And then as you continue to work with them, they'll have the explore slides over here also. And then you will have the summary. Here, when you're summarizing the lesson and the work that your children have done, super important to affirm the work that they have done as being correct, if it is in fact correct, and making sure that they know that 5 and 4 is acceptable, but we also want them to push their thinking and go into other options. The last slide will be additional practice. You have a few more of those. And of course, the citations for the resources. Friends, I hope that this has helped you. I know that with my students, I'm still working very hard on this part because while they see the 5 as the first answer, whenever we're working with the 5 groups, I want them to start thinking outside of the box, which is what we say in my classroom. I hope that this video has helped you in coming up with ideas or strategies to help your students as well. Have a good day.